My name is Madison Keller. I'm 38. On Thursday, March 14th at 2:47 p.m., I was standing in the hallway outside the OHSU Transplant Center Ethics Committee room when my mother said the words that made my 19-year-old daughter's face go white. "Ava, sweetheart, we wouldn't ask if it wasn't life or death. Your father needs a kidney, and you're the only match." My mother's voice had that practiced softness she used with pediatric patients. "It's just one kidney, you have two." Ava's hand found mine. Her palm was ice cold. "But you said Madison wasn't your daughter. You said that at Thanksgiving, in front of everyone." My mother's smile didn't falter. She'd been a head of pediatrics for 22 years. She knew how to handle difficult conversations. "That was different, honey. Family is complicated. But blood is blood, and your father is dying. You told my dad he'd never be family." Ava's voice cracked. "You said electricians don't belong in the Keller bloodline. You said that to his face when I was 3 months old." My father stepped forward. Even at 67, Dr. Alexander Keller commanded a room, chair of the Oregon Medical Board, 4 generations of physicians behind him. He looked at Ava the way he'd looked at me 19 years ago, like she was a problem to be solved. "Your mother is being emotional. Let's discuss this rationally. Ryan needs a living donor. The transplant list wait time is 3 to 5 years. He has 6 months, maybe 8. You're 19, healthy, and a perfect 6-antigen match. The surgery is routine." "Ryan," I said his name quietly. "Your son, my husband, the man you called a blue-collar mistake at our wedding reception." Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. My father didn't look at me. He hadn't looked directly at me in 19 years, 2 months, and 11 days. Ryan made his choice when he married you. Now he needs to make another choice. For his health. "He didn't call you," I said. "Did he?" My mother's smile finally slipped. "He's not thinking clearly. The kidney failure affects cognitive function. That's why we came to Ava directly." Ava pulled her hand from mine. She was shaking. "You want me to give him a kidney when you haven't spoken to us in 19 years. We're speaking now." My father's tone was the one he used to close arguments. Final. Absolute. "The ethics committee hearing starts in 8 minutes. We need your verbal consent before we go in. Yes or no, Ava?" That's when I understood. They weren't here to reconnect. They were here because Ryan's father, my husband's father, Victor Langford, had died 4 weeks ago in Melbourne, Australia, and left Ryan an irrevocable inheritance of $10.2 million. And because Ryan was dying, and they needed to secure that money through their granddaughter before it was too late. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back 30 years to the only time I met Victor Langford. I was 8 years old, standing in my grandmother's kitchen in Salem. It was late July, and the air smelled like blackberries and cut grass. Victor was tall, maybe 6'3", with Ryan's same dark hair and sharp jaw. He'd flown in from Australia unannounced. My father wouldn't come out of his study. My mother told me to play outside. But Victor found me in the garden. He crouched down and said, "You must be Alexander's daughter. You have his eyes, sharp eyes, doctor's eyes." "I'm going to be a doctor," I told him. I was 8. I believed it. He smiled, but it was sad. "Maybe you will. Maybe you'll be something better. Either way, remember this. Your value isn't in your last name. It's in what you build yourself." He handed me a small wooden box, smooth and dark. "Keep this safe. Someday you might need it." Inside was a silver compass with an inscription. "Find your own north." I kept that compass for 30 years. I'm looking at it right now. Victor left that same night. My father never mentioned him again. I didn't understand then that Victor had been disgraced, stripped of his Oregon medical license, divorced from my grandmother, erased from family photos. All I knew was that he was kind to me, and my father hated him for it. Fast forward 11 years. I was 19, studying medical coding at Portland Community College. Not medical school, my grades hadn't been good enough for that, and my parents made sure I knew it. My mother's words: doctors heal, medical billers count money for doctors. Know the difference, Madison? I met Ryan at the community college library. He was taking a night class in electrical systems. I was working a third shift at St. Vincent Hospital, entering surgery codes into the billing database, trying to figure out if anesthesia code 00740 or 00750 applied to a cesarean section. Ryan saw me falling asleep over my laptop. He brought me coffee. We talked until the library closed. He was 22. He'd finished his apprenticeship. He was already making $52,000 a year. He wore his work boots to the library because he came straight from job sites. He had grease under his fingernails. My mother once said, "You can always tell a man's worth by his hands." She meant soft hands, surgeon hands, not calloused hands that pulled wire through walls. We dated for 7 months. I got pregnant. We decided to keep the baby. Ryan proposed. I said yes. I told my parents on a Saturday morning in October. They were in the dining room, reading the Oregon Medical Journal and drinking French press coffee. My mother set down her cup carefully. "You're not serious." "I love him," I said. "He loves me. We're getting married." My father folded his newspaper. "What does he do?" "He's an electrician. He just got his contractor's license. He's starting his own." "No." My father stood. "Absolutely not. 4 generations of physicians, Madison. 4 generations." My father threw it away. "You will not." "Ryan didn't throw anything away. He's building something." "He pulls wire," my mother said. Each word was a scalpel cut. "You will terminate the pregnancy. You will finish your degree. You will move on. We'll pay for everything. No one needs to know." The room tilted. "I'm not terminating. I'm keeping my baby." My father's voice went cold. "Then you're not keeping your family. If you marry him, if you have this child, you are no longer a Keller. You are no longer our daughter. You will not use our name, our connections, or our reputation. Do you understand what that means? No hospital will hire you. No professional network will acknowledge you. You will be no one." I looked at my mother. On the table. I left the key. I left that 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 table. I left the key. I on the table. I left the key. I left that same afternoon. Ryan and I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Gresham. Rent was $875 a month. I had $1,240 in my checking account. We got married at the courthouse. No one from my family came. Ava was born on May 3rd, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Perfect. Ryan's mother, Barbara, was in the delivery room. She held my hand. She said, "You're family now. You've always been family." But Victor's compass was in my purse. I'd brought it to the hospital without knowing why. For the first 3 years, we were fine. Better than fine. Ryan's business grew. I finished my medical billing certificate, then got my certified professional coder credential. I was good at it, really good. I could read a physician's notes and translate them into billing codes faster than anyone in my department. I found errors other coders missed. I caught upcoding fraud. I was promoted to senior coder at 24. My parents sent one card. It arrived when Ava was 6 months old. No return address. Inside was a newspaper clipping, my father's appointment as chair of the Oregon Medical Board. A handwritten note. "This is the path you abandoned." I threw it away. Ryan never saw it. But 3 years later, my mother called. I was at Providence, Portland, training a new billing clerk on how to code complex surgical procedures. My phone buzzed. I didn't recognize the number. "Madison," her voice was careful. "It's your mother." My hands went numb. "How did you get this number?" "I'm at the Providence staff directory. I'm head of pediatrics here now. I saw your name on the revenue cycle roster. I thought, perhaps we could talk." "Talk about what?" "About repairing things. You have a daughter. We have a granddaughter. Maybe enough time has passed." Hope is a stupid thing. It doesn't check credentials. It doesn't verify motives. It just floods in. "Do you want to meet Ava?" "Let's meet first. Just us. See if we can find common ground." We met at a coffee shop on Hawthorne Street. She ordered chamomile tea. She asked about Ava, her development, her health, her milestones. She didn't ask about Ryan. She didn't ask about me. After 40 minutes, she said, "Your father isn't ready, but I am. I'd like to see her, gradually." Gradually meant once every 3 months. Always at Providence, always during her lunch break. She'd hold Ava for 15 minutes, then hand her back. She never came to our apartment. She never invited us to her house. When Ava turned 4, my mother gave her a toy stethoscope. "Every Keller starts with this," she said. Then Ryan's father died. Victor Langford, age 72, massive stroke in his pharmaceutical distribution warehouse in Melbourne. The will was ironclad, everything, $10. $2 million in assets, investments, property, went to his only son Ryan. Not Alexander Keller, his disgraced son-in-law. Not Elizabeth Keller, who'd helped erase him. Ryan. The lawyer's letter arrived on a Tuesday. Ryan read it 3 times. Then he called Barbara. "Mom, did you know Dad had this kind of money?" Barbara cried. "He left when you were 2. I knew he'd rebuilt something, but he never said. He never—" The lawyer explained. Victor had been accused of overprescribing opioids in Oregon in 1993. He was innocent. Another doctor had forged his signature, but the medical board, chaired by my father at the time, had moved to revoke his license. Victor fled to Australia rather than fight a battle he knew he'd lose. He built a pharmaceutical distribution company from nothing. He never remarried. He never came back. But he'd been tracking Ryan. The lawyer had photos. Ryan at his high school graduation, Ryan's contractor license announcement, Ryan and me at our courthouse wedding, Ava's birth announcement from the Gresham Outlook newspaper. Victor had clipped every one. He'd been watching, waiting, preparing. The inheritance was clean. No conditions, no tricks. Just a transfer of everything Victor had built to the son who'd lost him. 2 weeks later, my mother called again. Madison, we need to talk about Ryan's health. Has he been feeling fatigued? Any unusual symptoms? Why are you asking? I'm a doctor. It's my job to ask. Her tone was clinical. There's something called genetic predisposition. Victor had kidney disease. Did you know that? It runs in families. Ryan had been tired. More than usual. He'd lost weight. But he was 41, running a business, working 60-hour weeks. He's fine. Get him tested, please, for Ava's sake, if not his own. I should have hung up. Instead, I convinced Ryan to see his doctor. Full workup, blood panel. The results came back on a Friday. Stage 4 chronic kidney disease, GFR of 18, creatinine at 4.2. His kidneys were failing. Dr. Sarah Martinez, his nephrologist, was blunt. You need a transplant. Dialysis will buy you time, but not quality of life. Living donor is ideal. Family match is best. We'll test your mother, your wife, your daughter when she's old enough. My daughter is 19, Ryan said quietly. Dr. Martinez nodded. Then we test her now. Ava was a perfect match. 6 out of 6 HLA antigens. Better than 98% of sibling matches. 1 in 10,000 odds. Dr. Martinez called it a miracle. My mother called it an opportunity. She appeared at Ryan's first dialysis appointment. I was in the chair next to him, watching his blood cycle through the machine, trying not to cry. She walked in wearing her white coat, her hospital badge, her head of pediatrics credentials on full display. Madison, Ryan. She didn't ask permission. She just sat. I've been consulting with Dr. Martinez. I want you to know, we're here. Whatever you need. Family supports family. Ryan stared at her. You disowned Madison 19 years ago. That was a complicated time. Your father-in-law was under immense pressure. The medical board, his reputation. You told Madison I'd never be family. My mother's smile was practiced. People say things in anger. What matters now is Ava. She's a match. That's a blessing, Ryan. That's providence. She's 19. She's an adult. She can make this choice. It's a gift, really. Not many people get to save their father's life. That's when I understood. The reconciliation, the sudden interest, the medical advice. It had all been leading here. To this moment. To Ava's kidney. I stood up. Get out. Madison. You don't want Ryan healthy. You want access to Victor's inheritance. You want control. And you think Ava is the key. My mother stood, smoothing her coat. You always were paranoid. I'm offering help. If you're too proud to accept it, that's your choice. But when Ryan needs that transplant and Ava is the only option, remember that I tried to support you. She left. Ryan looked at me. What just happened? She's planning something, I said. I don't know what, but she's planning something. I was right. 3 weeks later, my father appeared at Ryan's business office. Ryan was alone, reviewing electrical schematics for a commercial building project. My father walked in without knocking. Ryan, we should talk. Ryan didn't stand. About what? About your future, your daughter's future, Madison's future. My father sat across from him, uninvited. You're a smart man. You built a successful business. You understand leverage. Right now you have something I need. Ava. And I have something you need. Medical connections, transplant priority, post-surgical care at the best facilities in Oregon. We can help each other. You want Ava to give me a kidney so you can control Victor's inheritance through me. My father smiled. See? Smart. Here's what I'm proposing. Ava donates. You get healthy. In exchange, you transfer 30% of Victor's estate to a family trust, administered by me, naturally, for Ava's future. Medical school, residency, career support. She's a Keller, Ryan. She deserves Keller opportunities. She's also a Langford. Victor was a disgrace. That name means nothing. But Keller? That name opens doors. Ava could be a surgeon, like her grandmother, like her grandfather, like her great-great-grandfather, or she can be the daughter of an electrician who let her father die. Ryan's face went white. Get out. Think about it. Ava will do it anyway. She loves you. She'll offer. But will you let her sacrifice for nothing? Or will you let her sacrifice with a return on investment? My father left his business card on the desk. Ryan called me 20 minutes later. His voice was shaking. Madison, I need you to promise me something. No matter what happens, no matter how sick I get, you don't let them near Ava. You don't let them use her. I promise. I mean it. If I die, I die. But Ava doesn't become their bargaining chip. She doesn't become their way back into Victor's money. Promise me. I promise. But saying it and doing it were different things. Because 2 weeks later, my father filed a formal complaint with the Oregon Medical Board against me. The accusation? Medical billing fraud. Specifically, that I had systematically upcoded procedures at Providence, Portland over a 5-year period, inflating hospital revenues by an estimated $320,000. The investigator's letter arrived at my office at 9:14 a.m. on a Monday. My supervisor, Janet Holbrook, called me into her office. She was 54, pragmatic, fair. She'd promoted me to Revenue Cycle Director 3 years earlier. She looked at me with something between pity and doubt. Madison, I need you to tell me this isn't true. It's not. I've never upcoded. I've caught upcoding, I've reported it. Check my audit logs. They did. They found 47 discrepancies in your coded claims from 2019 to 2024. Complex surgeries billed at higher rates than physician notes supported. It's detailed, Madison. It's specific. My face burned. My pulse hammered in my teeth. Someone tampered with my codes after I submitted them. Check the timestamp edits. The timestamps show you as the editor, your login, your password, your workstation. Then someone used my credentials. Janet, you know me, I wouldn't... I know, but the medical board doesn't. They're launching a formal investigation. I have to put you on administrative leave. Paid, but still. You can't access the system until this is cleared. I drove home and pulled up every billing record I'd ever coded. Every claim, every note, every physician signature. I spent 11 hours going through 5 years of data, and I found it. The edits had been made remotely, not from my workstation, from an administrative override account, the kind only department heads could access, and the codes had been changed subtly, not enough to trigger fraud alerts, just enough to look intentional, professional, like someone who knew exactly what they were doing, someone like the head of pediatrics, who had system access, who had my login information from the staff directory, who needed me discredited, desperate, and vulnerable. I confronted my mother over the phone. You framed me. I don't know what you're talking about. The billing fraud accusation. You edited my codes. You have administrative access. You made it look like I'd been stealing. Madison, you sound paranoid, unwell. Maybe the stress of Ryan's illness is affecting your judgment. You're trying to destroy my career, so I have no choice but to let Ava donate. You think if I'm jobless and desperate, I'll trade her kidney for your help clearing my name. My mother's voice went cold. If you're innocent, the investigation will prove it. If you're guilty, you'll lose your CPC certification and never work in healthcare again. Either way, Ryan is dying, and Ava is the only match. You can keep fighting me, or you can accept that some battles aren't worth winning. She hung up. Ryan got sicker. His GFR dropped to 12. He started dialysis 3 times a week. His skin turned gray. He lost 30 pounds. Ava watched him fade and said, "Mom, I want to get tested. Officially, I want to donate." "No, he's dying." "Not yet. Not like this." "You're being selfish." Maybe I was, but I'd made a promise, and I'd found something in Victor's compass box, something I hadn't noticed in 30 years. The bottom had a false panel. Inside was a folded piece of paper, yellowed and fragile, an address in Melbourne, and a note. "If they ever come for your family, go here first. I left you proof. V." I told no one, not Ryan, not Ava. I booked a flight to Melbourne. The address was a law office, Whitaker and Associates, established 1987. The receptionist looked at me skeptically. "Do you have an appointment?" "I'm Madison Keller, Victor Langford's daughter-in-law. He left me this address." Her expression changed. "Wait here." 10 minutes later, an elderly man emerged. Andrew Whitaker, 76, silver-haired, sharp-eyed. "Ms. Keller, I've been expecting you. Not for 30 years, but Victor said you'd come when you needed to. Please, follow me." His office smelled like leather and old paper. He opened a safe and pulled out a sealed envelope. Victor left explicit instructions. This was to be given to you, and only you, if 2 conditions were met. First, that Ryan inherited the estate. Second, that Alexander or Elizabeth Keller attempted to interfere with your family. I've been monitoring. The medical board complaint triggered my alert. You've been watching us? Victor paid me to, for 30 years. He knew Alexander would never forgive him for exposing the prescription fraud that cost Alexander his first medical board chairmanship. He knew Alexander blamed him for the family scandal. And he knew that if Alexander ever discovered Ryan had inherited anything significant, he'd come for it. Through you, through Ava, through whatever leverage he could find. He handed me the envelope. "Don't open it here. Open it somewhere safe, somewhere private. And when you do, you'll understand what Victor spent 3 decades building." I flew home. I didn't open the envelope on the plane. I waited until I was alone in my car, parked in the Providence, Portland garage at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Then I opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten. Victor's penmanship was shaky but clear. "Dear Madison, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and Alexander is doing exactly what I knew he'd do. He's trying to take what Ryan inherited. He's using your family, your daughter, your career, your reputation, as leverage. I'm sorry I couldn't stop this while I was alive. I tried to reconnect. I tried to warn Ryan. Alexander made sure I couldn't. Do you remember the day we met? You were 8. I gave you a compass. You told me you wanted to be a doctor. I told you your value wasn't in your last name. I meant that. You found your own north, Madison. You became something better than a doctor. You became someone who builds systems, who finds truth in numbers, who protects people from fraud. That's worth more than any MD. Alexander has been committing Medicare fraud for 11 years. I have proof. He's been billing for procedures his residents performed, signing off as primary surgeon, collecting higher reimbursement rates. Total estimated fraud, $1.8 million. I hired investigators. I have surgical logs, billing records, resident testimony, patient charts, everything. It's all in the safety deposit box at First Interstate Bank, Portland Branch, Northwest 23rd Avenue, Box 847. The key is taped to the back of this letter. The original complaint against me in 1993, Alexander forged my signature on those prescriptions. I have the handwriting analysis that proves it. I never fought because I had no money, no power, no support. But you do. You have this evidence. You have Ryan's inheritance. You have Victor's legacy. Don't give them Ava's kidney. Don't give them anything. Let the truth speak. Let the evidence do what I couldn't. You're not alone, Madison. You never were. Find your own north. All my love, Victor. Taped to the back of the letter was a small brass key, and beneath that, a second note. Contact Dr. Sarah Martinez. She knows. I called Dr. Martinez at 6:40 a.m. She answered on the second ring. Madison, I've been waiting for your call. You knew? Victor contacted me 4 years ago. He knew Ryan would need a transplant eventually. It's genetic, and he had the same condition. He asked me to monitor Ryan's case, to ensure no one pressured Ava into donating, and to alert his attorney if the Kellers ever got involved. When your mother showed up at dialysis, I reported it. That triggered Andrew Whitaker's investigation. Why didn't you tell me? Victor's instructions. You had to figure it out yourself. You had to be ready. Are you ready, Madison? I think so. Good. Because your parents are petitioning the OHSU Transplant Ethics Committee for an expedited review of Ava's donor eligibility. The hearing is Thursday, 3 p.m. They're claiming Ryan is incapacitated, that you're obstructing medical care, and that Ava is a mature adult capable of informed consent. They want the committee to approve the donation over your objection. Can they do that? Not legally, but they can create social pressure. If the committee sides with them, Ava will feel obligated. Your parents know that. Then I'll be there. With evidence. I went to First Interstate Bank. I opened box 847. Inside were 3 folders: Medicare fraud documentation, handwriting analysis proving Alexander forged Victor's signature, and a third folder I wasn't expecting: Victor's journal entries from 1993 to 2024. 30 years of notes documenting every attempt to reach out to Ryan, every letter Alexander blocked, every birthday gift returned unopened, every attempt at reconciliation sabotaged. The last entry was dated 4 weeks before Victor died. Ryan is sick. I know because I've been tracking his medical records through legal channels. He'll need a kidney. Alexander will use this. He'll use Ava. I can't stop him from beyond the grave, but I can give Madison the tools. She's stronger than Alexander knows, stronger than she knows. She'll fight for her family the way I couldn't. That's the only inheritance that matters. I copied everything. I gave the originals to Andrew Whitaker to hold in legal trust. I prepared 3 binders of evidence, and on Thursday, March 14th at 2:47 p.m., I arrived at OHSU Transplant Center with Ava and Ryan, and my parents were already there waiting. Which brings us back to where we started. My father demanding Ava's verbal consent, my mother smiling her pediatrician smile, Ava shaking beside me. The ethics committee room held 7 members, 3 physicians, 2 ethicists, 1 patient advocate, 1 legal counsel. They sat in a U-shape around a rectangular table. My parents sat on the right side. Ava, Ryan, and I sat on the left. At the head of the table, on a large monitor, was Victor's face, a photo from his memorial service. The committee chair, Dr. Harold Chen, age 62, spoke first. This is a closed hearing to review the living kidney donation petition filed by Dr. Alexander Keller and Dr. Elizabeth Keller on behalf of their granddaughter, Ava Langford, age 19, to donate to her father, Ryan Langford, age 41. The donor's parents, Madison Keller and Ryan Langford, have filed an objection. We're here to determine if Ava's consent is informed, voluntary, and free from coercion. Let's begin. Dr. Keller, you may present your position. My father stood. He had notes. He'd prepared. Thank you, Dr. Chen. This is a straightforward case. Ryan Langford is in end-stage renal failure. His GFR is 11. He requires dialysis 3 times per week. Without a transplant, his life expectancy is 18 to 24 months. His daughter, Ava, is a perfect 6-antigen match, an extraordinary compatibility that occurs in less than 1% of potential donors. Ava is 19, legally an adult, medically healthy, and psychologically evaluated as suitable for donation. She has verbally expressed her willingness to donate. The only obstacle is her mother, Madison, who is obstructing consent for personal reasons unrelated to Ava's welfare. Dr. Chen turned to me. Ms. Keller, do you dispute any of these medical facts? No, I dispute the characterization. Ava hasn't given informed consent. She's been manipulated. My mother leaned forward. Madison, that's a serious accusation. It's the truth. You disowned me 19 years ago for marrying Ryan. You called him a blue-collar mistake. You told me I was no longer your daughter. You refused to meet your granddaughter for 3 years. When you finally did, it was conditional, controlled, and transactional. You've had no meaningful relationship with Ava. But the moment Ryan's father died and left him $10.2 million, you reappeared. You filed a false Medicare fraud complaint against me to destroy my career. You pressured Ryan to transfer 30% of his inheritance to a family trust you'd control. And now you're using this committee to pressure Ava into giving up her kidney, not to save her father, but to secure access to money you think you're entitled to. The room went silent. The committee members exchanged glances. My father's face turned red. That is a slanderous, delusional. It's documented. I opened my binder. I have evidence. My mother laughed. Not a real laugh. A dismissive, clinical laugh. Madison, you're under investigation for billing fraud. You're desperate. You're inventing conspiracy theories to The billing fraud was staged. You edited my coded claims using your administrative override access at Providence, Portland. I have the timestamp logs showing the edits came from your login, not mine. I have your IP address. I have the specific codes you changed. 47 procedures, altered between January 2019 and November 2024, all matching your shift schedules. You framed me to make me desperate enough to let Ava donate. Isn't that right, Dr. Elizabeth Keller? My mother's smile vanished. You can't prove that. I can. I've already submitted the evidence to the medical board investigator. He confirmed your access logs match the edit timestamps. The fraud investigation against me was dropped yesterday. They're opening one against you. My father stood. This is absurd. We're here to discuss Ava's donation, not Madison's paranoid. Sit down, Dr. Keller. Dr. Chen's voice was sharp. Let her finish. I turned to the page I'd marked. Victor Langford, Ryan's father, Ava's grandfather, left detailed documentation of your behavior, Dr. Alexander Keller, including proof that you forged his prescription signatures in 1993 to frame him for opioid overprescribing. The forgery cost him his medical license and forced him to flee to Australia. You did it because he was preparing to report your Medicare fraud, billing for procedures your residents performed while claiming you were the primary surgeon. He has surgical logs, billing records, patient charts, and testimony from 6 residents who worked under you between 2013 and 2024. Total fraud estimate, $1.8 million. I slid the binder across the table to Dr. Chen. It's all here. Handwriting analysis, Medicare billing comparisons, resident statements. Victor spent 30 years documenting your fraud because he knew you'd come for Ryan eventually. He knew you'd use Ava. He left me this evidence to protect my family. Dr. Chen opened the binder. He read the first page, then the second. His expression darkened. He looked at my father. Dr. Keller, is this true? My father's jaw clenched. Victor Langford was a disgraced pill pusher who abandoned his family. This is revenge from beyond the grave. Is it true? Dr. Chen's voice was ice. My father didn't answer. My mother tried to stand. We're leaving. This hearing is a farce. Sit down. The patient advocate, Maria Torres, spoke for the first time. You brought a 19-year-old girl here to pressure her into major surgery. You told her she was the only way to save her father. You made her believe she'd be responsible for his death if she refused. That's coercion. That's exactly what this committee exists to prevent. Ava was crying, silent tears. Ryan put his arm around her. He looked at my parents. You told me my daughter could be a surgeon like you, but she doesn't want to be a surgeon. She wants to study marine biology. She wants to work with coral reefs. She told you that when she was 14. You said it was a waste. You said Kellers don't study fish. That's why she stopped visiting you. Not because I told her to, because you made her feel like she wasn't enough. My mother's face went white. That's not... It's true. Ava's voice was quiet but steady. You told me I had potential, but only if I became a doctor. Only if I joined the family legacy. You didn't want me. You wanted another Dr. Keller. And when Grandpa Victor died, you didn't call to say you were sorry. You didn't ask how Dad was feeling. You asked me to donate a kidney. That was the first thing you said to me. We need to talk about your father's transplant options. The legal counsel, Stephen Park, flipped through his notes. Dr. Keller, according to OHSU records, you've contacted this committee 3 times in the past 2 weeks requesting expedited review of this case. You've cited urgent medical necessity and family consensus. But the family doesn't agree. The patient's wife is opposed. The patient himself never requested his daughter's kidney. You did. Why? My father's voice was low, controlled. Because Ryan is incapable of making rational decisions. The kidney failure has affected his cognitive function. Someone has to act in his best interest. Dr. Martinez, who'd been sitting in the back of the room, stood up. That's false. I'm Ryan's nephrologist. His cognitive function is normal. His GFR is low, but he's stable on dialysis. He's not in immediate crisis. He's on the transplant list. He could receive a deceased donor kidney within 18 to 36 months. A living donor would be preferable, but it's not life or death this week. Dr. Keller has been misrepresenting the urgency to pressure this committee. My father turned on her. You're Victor's plant. He contacted you years ago. He did, because he knew you'd do this. He knew you'd use Ryan's illness as leverage. He asked me to monitor the case and ensure no one coerced Ava. That's my job as a physician, to protect my patient and his family from exploitation. And you, Dr. Keller, are exploiting a 19-year-old girl to access an inheritance you're not entitled to. The room erupted. The committee members started talking over each other. My mother tried to leave. My father demanded a recess. Stephen Park called for order. Dr. Chen slammed his hand on the table. Enough! This hearing is over. Ava Langford's petition to donate is denied pending further investigation into the circumstances surrounding this case. Dr. Alexander Keller, Dr. Elizabeth Keller, you are barred from contacting Ava Langford, Ryan Langford, or Madison Keller regarding this matter. Any further contact will be reported to the medical board and the hospital ethics board. This committee will forward Ms. Keller's evidence to the appropriate authorities. We're adjourned. My mother stood slowly. She looked at me. Her face was blank, empty. You destroyed your own family. No, I said. I protected it. There's a difference. She walked out. My father followed. They didn't look back. Ava collapsed into my arms. She was shaking, sobbing. I thought I had to. I thought if I didn't, he'd die and it would be my fault. It was never your fault. I held her. It was never your responsibility to fix what they broke. Ryan was crying too, quiet, exhausted tears. Dr. Martinez sat beside him. Ryan, you're stable. We'll find you a kidney. You have time. Trust the process. I don't want Ava to give up part of herself for me, he whispered. I never wanted that. I just wanted my family safe. They're safe now, Dr. Martinez said. Andrew Whitaker appeared in the hallway after the room cleared. Victor would be proud of you, Madison. He always said you were the strong one. I didn't feel strong. Strength isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. You did what Victor couldn't. You fought back. You won. I didn't feel like I'd won. I felt tired, sad, relieved, but not triumphant. The Oregon Medical Board opened a formal investigation into my father's Medicare fraud 3 days later. The evidence was overwhelming. 6 former residents testified. Billing records matched Victor's documentation. By June, my father was facing criminal charges. He resigned as chair of the medical board. His medical license was suspended pending trial. My mother wasn't charged with fraud. Her edits to my billing codes were harder to prove as intentional. But Providence, Portland, placed her on administrative leave. She resigned quietly. The head of pediatrics position was filled by Dr. Marcus Chen, who'd been her deputy for 7 years. Ava didn't donate her kidney. Ryan stayed on dialysis. 8 months later, he received a deceased donor kidney from a 34-year-old motorcycle accident victim in Eugene. The transplant was successful. His GFR is now 58. He's healthy. He's working again. He planted a garden in our backyard, tomatoes, basil, sunflowers. He says it reminds him to be grateful for small things. Ava is studying marine biology at Oregon State University. She's in her 2nd year. She calls me every Sunday. She's dating someone, a quiet, kind engineering student named Sam. She's happy. I'm still a revenue cycle director. Providence. Portland offered me my job back. I declined. I took a position at a smaller hospital in Bend, Oregon. Less pressure, better hours, more time with Ryan. We moved into a house with a view of the Cascade Mountains. It's quiet here, peaceful. Victor's compass sits on my desk. Find your own north. I found it. It wasn't where I thought it would be. It wasn't a medical degree or a prestigious family name or my parents' approval. It was here, in this small house, with this small family, building something that's ours. My parents sent a card last Christmas. No return address. Inside was a photo of them at some medical conference. No note, no apology, just the photo. I threw it away. If you're watching this, and you've ever been told you're not enough unless you become what someone else wants you to be, listen to me. You are enough right now as you are. You don't need permission to live your own life. You don't need approval to walk away from people who make you smaller. You don't need to sacrifice your child to earn a love that should have been unconditional from the beginning. If you've walked away from family to protect your peace, type "I chose peace" in the comments. Or if you stayed and set boundaries that protected yourself without leaving, type "I chose boundaries." Both are brave. Both are valid. Both are proof that you understand what love actually looks like. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding that some inheritances are worth walking away from. I'm Madison Keller. I'm 38, and I finally found my own north.